Good morning, everybody. It is time again for Around the County. Around the County, heard each Tuesday here on WBRT Radio with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, made possible by our friends at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor. And we'll hear from them in just a moment. But good morning, Judge.
Roth, how you doing today?
We're doing good. And you have a guest with you today.
Yeah, we trying to expand our horizons. I think this is our sixth show, maybe 6 or 7, and we've hit a lot of different, a lot of discussions, a lot of topics, and it's been pretty good. So, like I said before, I was going to try to bring some people in from time to time, and today we've got Justin Hall, our county jailer, and
good morning, everybody.
I'm going to introduce Justin. Yep.
Good morning.
I guess we're hot, right, Roth?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
I'm watching you on the meters.
Yeah.
So Justin's got a lot going on at the jail since he's been there about the same time as me, 2 years and 3 months, and you've got a lot of issues going on there. So I thought I'd bring him in today and do a little discussions. And
well, I appreciate it, Tim, and Roth. I appreciate you also having the show. And like I say, it's an honor to be here. And like I say, I think it's a great show.
Yeah.
I've listened to every one of them. A lot of times I listen to it after the fact when it's posted, but
right, yeah.
But online and whatnot, and I think it's a good way for people to be able to. County government affects more of your day-to-day life. A lot of people worry about state government and your federal government, but your county government affects more of your day-to-day life than really those two do. Total, in my opinion, anyway. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, that's what Thomas Massey said. He was. He was a judge, executive before he became a representative, and we talked pretty often about stuff and talked about how many more headaches and responsibilities he had as a county judge. And so he took the easy way out, I think. He went on up the ladder and made it softer for himself. But anyway, thank you to Joe Hill's Power Sports, and the number here is, and the reason we do this, 348-2222, 348-2222. You can call and or text, and you don't have to give your name. If you want to give your name, it's fine, because some people don't like to talk on the air, give their name, but I encourage anybody that's got any calls, any issues, even complaints, I'm here to listen and try to make the community a better place. That's what our goal is, and try to be as transparent on everything we can.
And same here for the jail, too. If you got comments, questions, concerns, anything at all, like I say, we got an open door, so anybody more than welcome to ask any questions that they got.
All right, before we get into the show today, let's hear from Joe Hills, and then we'll be back. And remember, as the judge said, 502-348-2222 is a text or phone number.
Gear up for a spring at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment in Bardstown. We can meet all your needs. Save time with a zero-turn mower with brands such as Exmark, Kubota, Wright, Ferris, Hustler, and Steel. Starting as low as $3,799, 0% financing options are available. Don't forget Steel handheld power equipment. Starts easier, works smarter, finishes faster with America's #1 selling brand. Steel, available at Joe Hill's, powering your passion for over 70 years. Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment on the 245 bypass at Salem Drive.
We are back with Around the County, and again with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins and Jailer Justin Hall. And you said you wanted to say a little.
Yeah, I'll say something about Joe Hills. Of course, I've done business with them for years, but mowing season's getting ready to start, and I will say I normally take my lawnmower blades up to them. They have a machine that it does magic, and let me tell you, as far as sharpening your mower blades and whatnot, they probably do one of the best jobs as far as sharpening mower blades that you'll see somewhere. So I want to give them a little shout out on that. They do a great job.
Well, you're not supposed to mow the blacktop and the rocks.
Well, that's what I have problems with, That's what.
Yeah, get some kids out there picking rocks up.
Yeah, I try to as best I can. I hit my fair share of sticks and rocks, that's for sure.
I have a story, but I won't tell it on the air about Me and my mowing.
You got any, do you have any text yet?
No, oh, wait a minute. Here we go. We do. Let's see. Can you please get the road fixed where you turn into Lee's? Oh, this has come up several times. The Lee's famous recipe. You talked about that last week being.
Yeah, it's, I'm just, again, the people that don't listen or hear that's a private road. The city cannot fix it. The county cannot fix it. There's a company that owns the shopping center and the private groups in there, like Lee's, for example, they don't have the authority. It's not their road. But since then, I've been reaching out, and I finally found a person that we're trying to get it to talk to about getting it fixed, because it is rough. It's pretty rough, but it's not a public road. It's a private road, and so it restrains you a lot more. You just can't spend public money on a private road. So that's the answer to that question. But I did find a contact person that I've already tried to reach out to once, and I think hopefully we can get that thing fixed. Mm-hmm. And Justin, just to let everybody know, because he's a lot younger than I am. I've known him since his family since he was a baby, and he's been in the jail business for several years as far as working in jails, and he ran and won by a huge margin, and he's been hitting the ground running, and we've always had a good relationship, and jails are kind of a dirty word when it comes to the state, and same way with even say ambulance, just because it takes a lot of money to support them, unless you have federal inmates. Now, I talked to several judges around the county and the state legislatures and trying to get more money for the state prisoners to offset, because it's going to be around a $2 million offset that we had to substitute with general tax dollars to support the jail. Mm-hmm. And I talked to Laurel County. I didn't tell you this yet. I met with him again last week. I was at a meeting, and we was talking about, and he's going to talk about adding on again. I think he's up to 900 beds or 800 to 900 beds?
I think they're projecting, well, if you count their old jail, they're up to about 900 beds, if you count their old jail
and
on top of that. And Laurel County, London, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he gets in, and I forget now how many, 400 to 500 federal inmates in that range.
Right.
And they just pay so much more just for the public would know. They pay, anywhere from, let's say, $50 to $80 or, probably $60 to $70 average, where the state gives us, what, $35, $36?
$35.34 a day is what we get from the state. And speaking on that, a lot of people, when they hear county, state, and federal, they think, okay, I'm getting a federal inmate, so that must be somebody that's a whole lot worse. Really, the county, state, and federal, all that means is who's basically paying the bill on the person. Right now, down at our jail, I have people from cold checks all the way up to murder and rape and everything in between. So it's no different caliber than what we're housing now, down at the jail. And another thing I've done to try to get revenue up as well is that Washington County doesn't have a jail, Spencer County doesn't have a jail, and Mercer County as well. So as space becomes available, if we lose some state inmates that get released and whatnot, we've been taking some inmates in from them, and they're paying us a per diem, because I'm trying to be a good steward of the tax dollars the best way that I can. And so we have generated some money with that and whatnot to try to offset the cost of it. And, right now, as it sits, if our jail magically was to have 250 more beds on it right now, say I could just flip a switch, right now I could make Nelson County Jail not cost the taxpayers nothing if the jail's paid off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Of course, you got to pay a bond and stuff you had, but if we...
Yeah, it's about $75,000. It costs about, you hear these numbers in the general public out there, and they see it because you got all the restrictions and there's so many things you got to do. But if we built a new jail today, and I've done a study on this, and I've worked with Justin and the magistrates, and I've kind of got it on the shelf right now, and I've discussed this last year. Mm-hmm. And because of several other things we're working on, but I'm bringing it back up because we've got to be real careful about the laws and changing of the laws and making sure that the inmates, if they was to water down the laws and the jail times, just for instance, change some of the, decriminalize some things, and then you got to be real careful there. So it's always a risk, and you got to be, we have to be careful with bonding out, because it's about $75,000 per person to build a new jail. That's about what that's cost is.
A bed cost total, yeah.
So, if you build a 500-bed jail, you're talking about, what is that, 5, 7, about $40 million.
And I'll tell you, I believe it's Henderson County, they're already, they're talking about adding on to their jail.
They are. I've talked to them too.
Yeah, they're going to add on to theirs. Oldham County is looking at adding on to theirs. Davies County's looking on adding on to theirs already. And it's all because of the federal inmates and stuff. And the more beds that they have with these federal, it basically, the way I look at it is that if we could free up the $2 million right now that it's costing, because technically the jail costs almost $3.5 million to operate. I bring in over $1 million and such in revenue for state inmates, fees that we started to collect and going back on people, and stuff like that to pay what they owe the jail. So we bring in over $1 million for that, but it brings it down to about $2 million to operate. But imagine if we had that $2 million to go towards roads, Dean Watts Park, the fairgrounds. I mean, and just like what Tim said, jail's a dirty word because it's people want a place to put the people that break the law, but then it costs a lot to incarcerate, because once you take on the responsibility of putting somebody in jail, now you're in charge on keeping them fed, clothed, medical, everything else, and some of that can get a
lot overhead. And the state, you mandated them, the feds and the state with your overhead. Like he said, he's got inspections coming up, and he's went in and the fiscal court supported Justin, and he's used his commissary account, which is a separate account that's not coming out of taxpayers' money, to make a lot of improvements at the jail, just painting and cleaning up, and get some new tiles, just lighting, just a lot of things, and got it up to about where you can get it at with the jail. He mentioned a while ago about adding on. I started that process as soon as I got in to see, but as soon as you try to add on, you lose your grandfather clause. Then we got to go in and remodel that whole jail. It's about like building another jail. Probably could cost more. So
you have to bring the whole thing up to the current standard. Right now we're grandfathered in because our jail was built in '87, added on to in 1991, and the standards change about every 5 years. The square footage of a medical, how many medical cells you got to have, and all this that's laid out in statute and whatnot. So if technically the jail we have now would have to be engineered, redone to get it up to standard before we could even add beds onto it. If we was to magically have land to expand, that's the way it is, unfortunately.
We've had Ralph, and again, if anybody wants to call and ask any questions, because it is fairly complicated. Now, Justin, I want to commend him. When you get some, I don't know, really no pushback, but you hear some comments about how much the jail costs. Well, it's not anything he's doing or has done. It's just the cost of running and operating a jail with no federal inmates. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
I've talked to judges all over the state and jailers, and I'm telling you, the study I had done and we worked on, and then because I told them to figure a 700-bed jail. Now, that can be changed and adjusted, but over 20 years, we could pay for it and save the county $136 million in 20 years if we did it and run it and operate it and get the federal inmates in. So, looking back, we got all that data and everything, and of course, things change a little bit, but I started out with that. But if we could build a jail 300 to 400, in that range, and get the federal inmates in, we got to pay the debt service. But in a 20-year span, we could save the community $40 to $50 million. I think pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's scary, when
it is.
You go out and bond that, and you're actually in a debt. You got to pay the debt service, and he's working on. Me and him actually, we started the process, and Justin's with. He's got one, I guess, holding. What do you call them? Sale. We're trying to start the process of getting 10. And it holds 10, trying to get 10 federal inmates in.
Mm-hmm.
And they pay, we're trying to negotiate the price with them, and he's working on that. And because you got your fixed cost, the only thing, if you add somebody in, Actually, that one wouldn't be really adding, but if you take some, like we said, Mercer County, Spencer, even that come in, that's kind of like a fluff because you got your fixed expenses other than your food, and they pay, and they actually pay the medical. So it's a volume thing. I mean, I hate to say it before, but when I say you get, well, I'm probably not going to say it the way I want to say it, but you get more people, more volume. It's a volume thing. So we got to have more people in there, even though it's overcrowded, and they're all overcrowded all over the state.
Yeah.
It's just not like here, and. So the bottom line is the federal inmates to make it work and get it where we can cash flow this thing out and save the community a lot more money, and we're working toward that.
Mm-hmm. And the U.S. Marshals, they're actually coming down in April to take a look-see at what we got now and to work towards that because, it's a last thing I want to do is be the person responsible for raising taxes in Nelson County or putting Nelson County in a bind. My goal, and I think Tim's goal as well, is to leave it in better shape after we're done with doing what we're doing. I'll at least be able to look back on it and say, well, you know what, it's in better shape than when I got it. And that's my goal as far as that goes. And it is a big undertaking, and it is something that is not going to be taken very lightly. Eventually, and it could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 or 20 years from now, but eventually our jail will eventually not meet the code that it needs to remain open.
Grandfather or not?
Grandfather, yeah, I mean, eventually.
But that's the thing when I did this study, and I was talking to the people, and I think it's a pretty much proven fact that the state's going to force counties that's got these old and I'm not one. I don't want to build a damn new hotel for prisoners. That's just the way I feel about it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we give them too much now. But if you break the law and you're in there costing taxpayers, and me and you paying all this money, and we got to support the people that's breaking the law, $2 million out of our pockets, I don't sit too kind with me. I'll just be point blank about it. So we're big get frugal with our money, and we have. Justin has. And then we've got to make sure you got to meet the minimums for sure, or they're going to come in and shut us down. But at some point, by talking around the state and all the professionals and everybody, that they're going to act some of these jails and say, we're going to shut you down. And now we figured it up. If it's $2 million now, I'm rounding numbers off.
Yeah.
It would be probably close to 2.8 if we had to house them somewhere else because your transportation cost.
And
that's just a comment.
It would in 5 years' time. Actually, by running our jail right now, and I'm going back on the numbers. Just by running our jail right now, it's saving the county $800,000 having our jail open,
having our own jail.
And
I hate to say it that way because of the cost when we say we're saving money, but that's the bottom line.
And then you also lose your. If we lost our jail too, another thing, you lose your inmate work program, which a lot of departments have become to rely on. And I'm excited. That's one of the things I like about my job is the inmate work program and seeing what we're doing in the community and stuff. And I mean, how
many we got out today? 8, 9?
We actually got almost. I think we got 10 out today total. And last week we had the 9 that was going out with the county government, 2 that was going out with the city, and 2 that was going out with Bloomfield City. So they were going up there helping out there.
That's been a great program that we've added in conjunction with of course, the jailer and the fiscal court. We put in you heard the old story. Well, they bring in drugs back in the jail, and I'm not going to deny it has happened. You got to stay on it. You got to watch them. So we put the body scanner in that we paid for, or he's paid for out of the commissary fund, which is not taxpayer money, and that helped prevent a lot of that.
And we've caught a lot with that body scanner.
We've learned some tricks. Some of their tricks they thought they were tricks, but we kind of outmaneuvered them, about like a TV show, And
yeah.
So, but you can't stop everything. So, right. But that program. It saves the county hundreds of thousands of dollars because they do the mowing, weed eating on some things, and we've done a lot of extra projects. That's where we don't really show it don't show that in the budget side. There's a lot of extra projects that we've done. We've helped Fairfield and And New Haven and Bloomfield done a lot of money. They don't have the resources, so we used the inmate program and the supervisors of the inmate program. I think about 60,000 of it's coming out of the commissary fund again, which is not tax money. Then we've got our program through the landfill. They call it the grant program that we pay in. We get money back from the state to pick up the garbage, and there's a piece of that. So, and I'd have to get my numbers right, but very little of that is coming out of taxpayer money, if any. We may be a little bit of it on the.
Yeah.
So it saved the county a tremendous amount of money, plus getting a lot of projects done.
Thing comes to my mind is to ask. It's been closed down for many years, and they've even changed the name of the company, Corrections Corporation of America.
CCA, yeah.
But had the jail down, the one that was
Marion County.
in Marion County, it's vacant, closed down?
It's vacant. They still have employees there. And basically what happened was the state, and of course it was used for state prisoners, the state illegalized privatization of prisons. Basically what it was at the time was the state prisons were so overcrowded, they came in, built some prisons, and they were paid a per diem per day to hold them. And basically the other two in the state, right now the Kentucky Department of Corrections leases them, and they're using them to hold state prisoners, but they're state workers in there. So basically, they're just leasing the prison. The one in Marion, my understanding, they still have maintenance people there, to make sure it stays up and stuff like that. And basically, they're just waiting until either the state makes it legal again, if they want to do that, or if the state needs more prison space to lease it back out. And so basically, it's still there, and there's actually employees that's there, but there's no inmates inside there.
Employees, no inmates.
Yeah, they got employees, no inmates. That's what they do.
Is a concept of a regional jail?
Well, that's what I was getting back to, what I was talking about when we did the study and planning. Like I say, Washington County does not have a jail. Spencer, LaRue, we think in time, there's some issues over there that they may have to maybe one day close. Who else doesn't have a jail close? Is
it Mercer doesn't? Anderson doesn't?
Anderson.
These are substantial counties.
Yeah, they don't have a jail. And so
we think, and probably talking to the state and all that, eventually they're gonna force these jails that are getting based on the federal standards and everything that come in. So the study and everything I did was a regional jail that we would actually own and contract with these, at least our neighbors, try to offset, save them a little money, but it'd help us pay for the cash, and help pay for the debt service. Then you add the federal inmates on top of that. I mean, I've got the formula. I can show it to you. It's complicated as hell, but I'm telling you, it's
a spreadsheet probably wrap around this debt.
But it is got a lot of detail, a lot of data, and we need to adjust it somewhat. And if we could save just half of that amount of money I talked about would be so beneficial. Because we're going to lose this $2 million a year on this barrel tax. It's in the sunset type, but we're actually down a little bit already this year, even though it hadn't started till 26 is when it goes away, because of the volume of the barrels and the whiskey industry is slowed down somewhat. But in 20 years, 100% for sure, we're going to lose that $2 million that we got in our general budget. And we think, and we have a little bit of increase, that it will continue for more 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and that I'm pretty positive that's going to not get to the numbers we need to be at, because they've slowed down on their, the whiskey industry. So you add that up, $2 million. We're putting 2.1 more in the jail, 2.1 in the ambulance service, 1.2 for the health department, and losing the $2 million there. I mean, hell, we'd be in the red real quick. I mean, it's tough. And everything, just like everybody knows in their everyday lives, the cost of everything, and the last, especially 4 years, it went through the roof. And, well, same way with us. You heard me talk about it. Garbage truck was $165,000. Now they're $265,000. And I'll be here all day telling you all the parts and just tires and on and on and on. Now, since Trump's been in, gas prices have come down some, and diesel, and hopefully that'll come. If they don't have another World War III over there, maybe we'll see some relief, and hopefully some of our prices on the back end will come down. I think the short term we could be it's going to hurt us probably for a year or so, but long term, I had a company called today interested in bringing coming to Nelson County. It's a parts manufacturing, because they've already started looking like they're going to bring in more manufacturing jobs to this country. So they're looking, and hopefully that'll help, and that helps the county government, helps the parts, the jail, and so on and so on. So you got to operate and run it, have a vision and try to operate like a business. It's been, but the jail could actually be a money maker if we do it right.
And mention on the regional part, technically by definition we're regional now. Because we're housing other people's inmates, but there's two different types of regionalization by law. You have regionalization by name, which means that I'm housing other people's inmates. I have contracts with them, so technically I'm regional by name. And there's another KRS that's regionalization authority. It's where like 5 or 6 counties get together. They make a regionalization board. They appoint a director and stuff. Now the problem with that, you lose control at that point in time. If there's an idea that's not good for the county, you can be outvoted. And so the main thing, I'm not a fan of that model. I'm a fan of, just if somebody doesn't have a jail and they want to do, because we do fair contract negotiations with everybody, even the counties that we're housing for right now. And so really and there's only been 2 of those built in Kentucky since they made that law years ago.
That they've had the boards?
Yeah, that they've had the boards.
But we talked about that when we was doing the study and meeting with, we've met with, a lot of different groups. It ain't like it just, when I put all that stuff on that spreadsheet and hired a guy to help us and take all the data, it's like it just didn't fall out of the sky. It's a lot of work, and a lot of leg work, and you do a lot of research, and I'm going to give you a few things, Roth. You don't have any calls? No text?
Let me turn them up. Yes, hang on.
Hang on.
Why does the city workers drive F-250s and county workers not pulling a thing when a Ford Ranger, I'm guessing, would get better gas mileage and do the same work for less? And he said city, I believe, and of course, we're talking with county government people here, so.
Well, I don't know exactly what whoever this is getting to, but we don't have anything to do with the city. They've got their trucks and programs, everything on a lease type agreement that they rotate every couple of years, I think. And as far as I know, the cash flow, what they've done, it works really good for them. I looked at that, and because of the ambulances and things we've got, we didn't think the time of that would be at MA, but they replace everything and the parts. It could be a good program for the county in the future, but county government, just about all of our trucks that I know of, we pull trailers, we're in ditches, we're on top of the knobs, and they're out working and putting in pipes, and you might not see that one, but every day, and we've got trailers, and we pull from time to time, and we use them with snow plows when we need them.
Some of them have salt dispensers in the back.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of. That's why we want to make sure when we get a vehicle that it can be used universally for other things. I don't want anybody in a little truck just riding around and. Not to say there might be some need. There may be a few cases we could do that, but I'll give you an example. Our electrical inspector. I've already cut since I've been there on a lot of different departments and got frugal, got rid of a bunch of what I call, what's Trump call it, waste, fraud, and abuse. And and we saved quite a bit of money. I talked about that on here before. Now, I just pick on the electrical inspector and his truck, but we use him. And some days he's not having inspections, or we try to schedule it. We've got him, doing other things. So basically, all the people we've got are maintenance guys. Hell, they're maintenance guys. We got them out doing the salt and parking lot. So we try to use all those vehicles. And Justin's, the extra vehicles that we've tried to get some of the older vehicles, and he's found 1 or 2 that we bought, and then through the commissary. And when you take the inmates out, you got to have something to put the garbage in. And
you got to have a crew cab too as well, because you're hauling, 4 to 5 inmates, on top of that. And I've seen, just speaking on Tim's point of it, I've seen, like we're doing bulky item pickup right now, so a lot of them got trailers behind them, and that are pulling thousands of pounds, especially the one that's hauling the tires,
Yeah.
You get about 200 or 300 tires on a trailer, you're talking about some serious weight.
Yeah.
And during salt time, they'll go in these pickup trucks, they'll be taking tailgates off of them, putting salt spreaders on the back. And so really one truck, if we buy an F-250 or F-350 truck the county does, it can be a salt plow 1 minute, it can be hauling something the next minute, or it could be dragging pipe somewhere else. And really, it's about having that flexibility versus, I have nothing against a Ford Ranger or anything like that. I mean, they're good for their purpose, but really, if you buy a bigger truck, a F-250 or 350 or 3500 Chevy, whatever it may be, if you buy that, that's going to have a lot more multi-purpose. So you may end up buying 3 vehicles versus what one could actually do. Right. So to me, it would say it saves money in the long run.
Yeah, and I don't know, the gentleman, it may be, I don't know if it's an isolated event, but, you may see one here or there, just like I've heard them criticize about, I've seen a guy sitting on the road and he's waiting and he's holding a rake in his hand. I've heard these old stories, but I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, and I've weeded out some. I'm not going to be bashful about it. I've weeded out some. If they don't work, they ain't going to last around me, and if they got an attitude, they definitely ain't going to last around me. So we have screened and cleaned up and whatever, and it's been the old guys sitting on the road, and people talk about it on Facebook, and, they're lazy, they're milking the clock. Well, you better lean on that rake while the guy went to get his parts or his band for his piece of pipe, or they're waiting on the low rock. I mean, it's easy to criticize. But I'm going to tell you right now, our road department and our maintenance guys and all of our crews and all of them, I think, you might have one bad apple here or there, but I think our crews I put them top notch against anybody. And
they do a great job.
Let me tell you a few things, Roth, on this, Justin. Like I said, a $2.1 million budget, just like give or take, and it takes a lot. You got labor, and you got some overtime, you got medical, and we got to house people, and he can get into that a little bit when the hospitals, and somebody has a problem, go to the hospital. Guess what? Taxpayers got to pay for it. Unless they can get the state to do a reimbursement. If it's a state deal, we got to pay for it. You, me, and him. Then if it's at a hospital, you got to have somebody there to watching them.
Yeah.
It's not like you put them in bed and walk off and leave them. So.
And I'll tell you something that happened this Friday. Just to tell you what kind of your job, I had plans with my kids to go take them to E-Town to an arcade, and we were going to go do some stuff. Well, guess what? I had to scrub that because we had a person locked up in Nelson County on a Jefferson County warrant. Well, anyway, real bad drug user and stuff like that. I saw some problems that were getting ready to happen, so I went ahead, just for the safety of the inmate, we sent to the hospital. Well, guess what? They started doing CAT scans and MRIs and start seeing stuff. And so I'm trying to get on the phone with Jefferson County, and if you're trying to get hold of anything in Jefferson County Court, you might as well just throw a dart at the wall. I worked on it for 6 hours because this was a nonviolent warrant, and just the CAT scan alone would cover the bond fee on this guy, right? And finally, at midnight, 6 hours later, I finally was able to secure him getting released to get our deputy off where they could go back to the jail and stuff like that. So it took me 6 hours of nonstop. I mean, I bet you I had to reach out to 40 people to make this happen. And so that's just one instance,
Maybe you just need to turn them loose if it's nonviolent. I don't know. Jefferson can't pick them back up. It's just a lot, behind the scenes. We all got tough jobs, and it's not as easy as everybody think it is. But I'm going to briefly get into talking about the budget. Justin and I have worked on a lot of these programs together, and the fiscal court as far as that goes, and he's done internally. He's a high elected official, and he runs the jail, and negotiated these food prices with some different vendors and taking quotes and so on and so forth. But if we had stayed with where we were at 2 years ago, we would be paying $140,000 more in food cost. Medical, which it did go up, is going to go up again. Like everybody knows, medical. But if we had stayed with where we were at, we'd be up 18,000 more. Just you correct me if I'm wrong on these.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
The canteen fund, the support, we paying 60,000. The first year, I don't know if we paid that full amount, but we've agreed to 60,000. That saves the county $120,000. That's $60,000 a year, paying for the supervisors to take these inmates out. Now, they do a lot of extra programs that's not shown in the budget that we wouldn't be able to do budgetary-wise, or we would have to raise, or we'd have to spend more money to do them. Just cleaning up cemeteries, a lot of things, helping Fairfield and so on.
Blacktop and parking lots. And
The sealing parking lots and a lot of things, and painting. Now, again, that don't really reflect when it comes to the budgetary side. And then you get into the mowing and weeding that we was having. I've eliminated that one job because these guys are doing it. And you add that up, it gets up time you pay your benefits, insurance, it could get up to $100,000 real quick. So I know we saved that. And there's probably more that I won't hit on all of them, but
I think one of the first things you guys did, Justin, was the re-landscaping around the visitor center. It seemed like it was one of
they assisted with it. Like I know Judge Hutchins had a lot of the landscaping and stuff donated, but we did have inmates up there pulling out the other stuff and whatnot, and so they was up there tearing out and whatnot.
The old library too. We did a bunch.
Library,
Hell, we did a bunch out to the new courthouse.
Yeah, when it flooded up, when the library flooded. Inmates were up there helping rip stuff out, and then also when they bought new desks, none of them come pre-assembled, and so we had inmates up there, doing IKEA work, putting everything together.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a lot of things. We've got a lot of projects this year that we've got on the radar. And out of the canteen side of it, again, that's the money that don't come out of taxpayers.
And just so people knows, basically every jail operates a canteen, and basically what it is, we provide, if somebody has zero money, they get food, they get medical, they get clothes. Now, there is a commissary that's offered there where they can buy up and beyond. If they're in jail for a long period of time and a family member wants to put $100 on their books, they can buy, soft drinks, Snickers, extra clothes, stuff like that. There's
I like mounds.
They have those too. And the profits from that go into a commissary fund, and it can only be used for the security of the jail, benefit of the inmate, or the inmate work program. So it's very limited. So we can use those funds. I talked about the body scanner. That's a security of the jail.
How much was that thing? That was
$240,000.
Yeah. The previous jailer had saved some money in the account too.
Yeah, he left me with $400,000 in that account.
Yeah, and so that's been give Buck credit for that, and it's helped us out. And we've go ahead. You talking about that?
Yeah, and right now we have about $200,000 in it. Right now is what we have, and whatnot. And it's basically like I say, the prisons even have it. So it's not something that's necessary. But this money that we get from this, it's profits from this sale. So it doesn't affect the taxpayers is what I like about it. Right. So we bought an extra lawnmower for the mowing crew last year.
Well, I'll tell you what you bought. You bought lawnmower, some trimmers and blowers for helping us out on a lot of projects that's not related to the jail. Okay, the fairgrounds, for instance, and mowing around these different. County owns a lot of buildings, and
the inmates go out there and we got a trailer that runs around, just mows, and does constant.
Purchased a Ford F-150 instead of a 250 that he paid for it to go in the county pool. That was a used one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a used one.
And some of these life sensors, that's another $15,000. Let me finish this up.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
We had we received a grant. We paid for $40,000 out of a telephone grant that we got to use, and bought a new washer and dryer. That didn't come at no expense to the county.
Yeah, we got a new washer and dryer.
They're high. They would have been higher than hell. And our one of our maintenance guys you got to have a maintenance guy there. But when I came in, I got a little bit of pushback on this, but we utilized, one of our maintenance guys, and then one of his guys helps support the county through his budget that does a lot of other projects around the county. So, and of course, Justin himself, he's done a lot of IT work for all around these different departments.
If any department calls me and they got a computer problem, I'll leave the jail and run up there and fix it, because we do have some good, contract with IT support, but if I could save the county an $80 visit or, a $200 visit, I'll do it. And I think I started keeping tabs of it just out of curiosity, and I think it's either 18 or 20,000, something like that's what it is. If you go by what the hourly rate we're charged of $80 an hour.
Well, a Geek Squad.
Yeah, Geek Squad. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on my uniform.
Well, we've got, but then what I'm getting to, it don't really reflect in the budget. If so, we didn't make these changes and adjustments and cuts on what I said here earlier. Some of this other stuff is really additional, but it could be up to, like say, $800,000. Excuse me, really quick. So. I'm going to commend him on that.
Thank you, Judge.
And I'm going to commend the fiscal court supporting with me, and I have to stay on him from time to time to keep him in line on his budget. So we get so throw a red flag up, say, oh, we got to rein him in. But I say overall, that's about as frugal as you can get. I think there's some other things in there, a little bit here and there. Everybody can different management styles, but
the fiscal court's been great to work with. Tim's been great to work with. I talked to some jailers that have nightmare. They tell me nightmare stories they have. Of just trying to get the basics for their jail. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that when I was talking to Tim when I first took over and was saying, hey, I gotta paint this place. This is not up to my standard and stuff like that. And I mean, first thing he said to me, he's like, you do what you need to do to get it. They've been really great. I've been pretty blessed to have the fiscal court and the judge. They really have helped us out a lot as far as I haven't had, if there's a legitimate want, they have helped out. If there's a legitimate want. Now,
Yep.
They denied me on putting in the in-ground pool in the back and stuff like that. But, but other than that, we've been pretty good shape.
Well, the thing about this front-end stuff we were talking about is once you get it up to par, and your routine maintenance won't be as much. But, again, the cost of everything is going up, so the cost of the jail is going up. Your labor is going to have to go up some. Mm-hmm. Then when that goes up, your workman's comp goes up. And then your health insurance, we know we went self-insured. If we didn't go self-insured, based on my numbers, that we saved $861,000 actually, and if you take that, the county employees, jail employees, probably we'd had about to date, I would say we would have probably 25-30% increase with Anthem or whoever, okay?
And Tim, correct me.
And you add that up because sooner or later the county can't absorb all of that, so the county employees would have to pay more, and as well as us. So there's just a lot of things you don't see when it comes to different departments that you can kind of isolate. But again, the jail's kind of a dirty word. They get criticized a lot because in people's minds, they say, what the hell, you put money in a jail? You're taking care of these criminals and these prisoners. And
a lot of it's
all you got to do is look at the statute, and,
yeah.
and we have to do it. But we're working on some programs, I think, if it won't happen this year, but we've got to get, we're going to have to do something different and save the county, again, at least 40 to $50 million over the next 20 years. I believe we can get up more than that. So.
And Tim, you also, last budget, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with all the changes and stuff that you all made, wasn't you able to put basically in a savings account $400,000 as well?
Yeah, we've got some money escrow.
Yeah, escrow.
We're trying to escrow a little bit of money, and I'm working.
Which I think that's awesome to have that.
I'm working on two other. One actually, I'm working on a lot of stuff, and people don't see it behind the scenes. And somebody said, "Oh, damn, you ain't never up there. I don't ever see you." I said, "Well, you need to come up there." And about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night when you're in bed and you see me up there, and so like today I've got to go to E-Town working on some blacktop money from the state for some county projects. I was in Somerset last week, Lexington. I got to go back to Let's see, Lexington Moore with the Magistrate Association and trying to secure some more. We got one big bridge I talked to you about here. We're trying to get one more big bridge. And so to do it, you know, you can email or you can phone call, but when you look them straight in the eyeball, it makes a hell of a difference. And say, you know, I'm a beggar. That's what I tell them, I'm a beggar. So,
and one thing I'll brag on Tim as well.
It's tough.
And he thinks a lot alike the way I do on it, but this is one thing, is that he's not about the Band-Aid fixes or whatever. He wants 30 to 40 to 50 years where if a decision's being made, it's going to cover the county for 30, you know, just for instance, let's just throw the jail out here. The reason he was wanting, you know, X amount of beds is because, you know, 50 years from now, that's what the county's going to need eventually, you know, and stuff like that. And if you look at like the heating and air at the courthouse, I'm sorry to bring up that touchy subject, but he's looking for a.
Why did you bring it
up? I'm sorry, but he's looking for something. He don't want to replace a part and then us go sink $100,000 into it next year. Yeah. So I commend him on looking for solutions that last 30 to 40 years.
I probably voted against when I was a magistrate, dean, the county judge. And we got in a little bit of let's say disagreement, and had a proposal about adding on to the jail, and then I had enough support that we didn't, and you know, we can disagree over policy, whatever, but at the time, and I showed it, I had a spreadsheet and proved it, I think, that we could still house prisoner. Dorcas was actually the jailer. We could house prisoners in Hardin County cheaper and do a spreadsheet than we could add on at that time, you know, based on the fixed cost and what have you. Now, things have changed. I mean, of course, a lot of laws have changed, and, of course, you know, your building's a lot older and construction costs older, but the federal inmate program, there's a lot of things that have changed, because I've heard someone say, well, you voted, you didn't want to add on to the jail 20 years ago. I said, no, I didn't want to add on to jail. We didn't build a new courthouse to 20 years ago. You know, I don't think you need to do it until you need to do it. But when you do it, you got to make sure you do it. You know, I always say, I tell every department and all the supervisors, all the managers, everything that I want done is a 30 or 40 year vision. Like I told you at Dean Watts Park, you know, we built that park, we bonded it out. Over time, we paid for it. But, you know, I use that old story. Some people want to do the same old, same old, same old. And if that's fine, if that's what they think. But do you want, you know, I go back to the baseball complex. We're out of room. If we don't add on to it, I've had some now. Matter of fact, I've worked out a deal out at the fairgrounds so they can go out there and start using that for some practice. But we're out of room. You know, what are you going to do? Start telling kids you can't sign up, taxpayers you can't sign up, go to Bullock County and play. I don't think that's going to go over too good.
No.
Anyway, I got to talk about one more thing. Justin, you want to hit something real quick? Anything?
I think we covered what I had, and like I said, I got an open door policy too. If anybody's got any comments, questions, or ideas for the jail, something we may not be doing, you can feel free to call the jail. You can call my cell phone. It's public. I never changed it after the election. It's 502-293-9174.
I tried to change mine, but he wouldn't let me. Wait.
And but like I say, my goal since I've been jailer has been to make the jail not just out of sight, out of mind. I want the community to feel like they're getting something out of this money that they're paying into it. And I think we are accomplishing that. Like I say, I got a lot of good staff, a lot of dedicated staff that people don't see what they do day in and day out, and we're pretty blessed as far as that goes.
You want to talk about Airbnbs?
Briefly, I do. There's a bill, Airbnb short-term rentals in Nelson County, in Bardstown, in the cities, and even New Haven. There's a couple down there, but I'm not opposed to them, and I think the general public, there's places for them. And statewide and nationwide, that's a big deal nowadays, and that's a big group that makes a lot of money. We in Nelson County have had trouble collecting their money. They're supposed to be paying their motel tax through the tourists. It goes back to the Tourist Commission that helps promote all the things we do down in Nelson County. So that's one problem I got with them. Not this Airbnb, there's another couple of these companies out there, but they have a bill in Frankfort, and it passed the House. Speaker Osborne, whether they want to say it or not, I'll just say it. It's all over the Courier Journal. They can look at the paper 2 or 3 days ago. and they're trying to pass a bill that says it takes all local control out. So the Airbnbs, whoever can come in, and they can put an Airbnb here, there, anywhere you want. The city of Bardstown has a lot of trouble because they're a historical district, and the neighbors and everybody, they don't want them beside them. You know, they out there partying or whatever. Not all cases, but Nelson County didn't follow through with that ordinance about 2 years ago, or 3. But we get all these accolades in Nelson and Bardstown, all over the nation. So we got people from California, Texas, all over, these buyer groups, investment groups, go online, they find a house, tap onto it, do a contract, sign it up, sight unseen in a lot of cases, we found out. And it takes the house off the market from some local people that wants to buy it at the same time. You've heard about the housing shortages.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to try to propose this bill, and I've done a lot of research on it, and there's a big article in the Courier Journal, and you're going to see one on my Facebook today about, so they went to the Senate stalled it, but they can come back in a 2-day veto session, and they've attached it, the amendment to a pool bill, they call it, and it's crystal clear, and it's just wrong, it's not good for our area, you know, planning and zoning, whether you like them or not, they've been good about keeping the county clean, organized, and so on. And I have changed a bunch of that stuff out there, worked with them, and try to what I call simplify it better. But, you know, people don't want a junkyard right beside your house. You don't want people to tell you what to do, but you want to tell everybody else what to do. So there's a fine line there we got to balance, and I think they've done a good job over the years. But the Airbnbs, and if they get this bill passed, it's going to take local control out, and they can build these damn things anywhere you want, and they're all over. So I'm encouraging everybody. I've already talked to the mayor and all of our leadership, and Senator Higgins against it, Candy Mastroni's against it, and we've got a lot of support. But there's a big lobbying group out there that's trying to do otherwise. So if anybody's seeing this, or they hear this thing in the next few days and watch it, I'm encouraging them. Now, David Floyd, the ex-representative, is the, I guess what is his title under the Speaker? Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff,
I talked to David about it, and I'm encouraging any and everybody that can reach out to Candy and Jimmy and any other legislators, leadership, and David, Speaker Osborne, and let them know that understand the bigger picture. This is not good for this community. And I didn't realize that Jefferson County Metro Government, there's a big article of how they're tough on this thing too. There's a lot of them down there that don't want it. So I don't know what the governor's position on it is, but I just tell you it wouldn't be good for our community, and there should be a better way to work this out. So I want to discuss that a little bit. Mayor Heaton and I have been fighting this thing, and as well as others. So
Well, anytime you take local control out of anything,
yeah.
you know, we don't vote for anybody but one representative and one state senator.
Mm-hmm.
And you see what happened on the barrel tax. You know, 18 or 20 counties in Kentucky, I think, had barrels, taxable barrels in them, and that left 102 counties whose representatives were.
Yeah,
right.
It was a tough one.
Didn't cost their constituents anything, or their government.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, Joe Hill's Power Sports, and Roth will probably play that ad again afterwards. And
go use them to get your blade sharpened on your mower.
Well, I want to thank them for supporting this show, and this is
they do.
Again, we're just trying to be transparent. And next week I'll have somebody probably on here from time to time, and I'm going to bring the magistrates on, come in, and I got all kinds of different departments and EMS, and just try to get people's comments and input. I want feedback from everybody, and anything that they see out there that they think that should be fixed or done different, I'd like to know. We can try to share those ideas and hopefully make the community better. Thank you, Roth.
Yeah, thank you,
Phone
Roth.
number at the judge's office.
348-1800, 348-1800.
We'll be back and do this again next Tuesday in the 11 o'clock hour around the county with Nelson County Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, made possible by the sponsorship and support of Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoors.